Algebra Chapter 1, Lesson 7, we looked at true, false, and open sentences or equations. We want to look at now the solutions to those open equations or those open sentences. When we have a variable, the variable is a place where we can put in different numbers, and we've done that earlier this year when we evaluated algebraic expressions by substituting in the numbers that they gave us. And they always just gave us one number to substitute in, and then we simplified it. Well, what if there's more than one number that we can put into the expression? What if we want to evaluate it for 4 numbers or 5 numbers? Or what if we wanted to evaluate every number that's possible? That's a pretty big set. But the number that we can substitute in comes from a set of numbers which we're allowed to put in, okay? And that's called the replacement set. And that's what this first sentence says. It says that the set of numbers from which you can select replacements for the variable is called the replacement set. Okay, so when you're looking at what numbers you want to substitute into a variable in an open sentence, the numbers that you can put into that particular expression is called the replacement set. So a replacement set are some numbers which we're going to substitute in for variables, and we use braces. These are called set notation. So whenever you see braces, that's a set notation. And a set is just a collection of certain items. If you have a set of things that you collect, you have a certain group of items. All right. So the numbers which we're going to substitute into the expression, the open sentence, is going to be our replacement set. So if we have the numbers 2, 6, 8, that's the replacement set. All right, now what do we get from the replacement set? Well, the next sentence says here that a replacement for a variable that makes the equation true is called the solution. So the solution to a particular equation or that has a variable or open sentence is the one number or maybe 2 numbers or maybe even more than that of numbers that when substituted into the open sentence make it true. Okay, so again we talked about that being one of the goals of algebra is to determine then what values make that true. So we take our solution set or a replacement set, and from that we try to figure out what makes the solution. And the solution is the number, or numbers, could be more than one, that when substituted into the expression make it true. Okay, so the replacement set are the numbers I'm going to choose from to put into the open sentence. Out of those numbers, the one or more that make it true is the solution to that open sentence. So if we have the algebraic equation x plus 3 equals 5, what number would go in for x that would make the equation true? That would give a value of 5 on the left and a value of 5 on the right. Well, if we're using this as our replacement set, the only one of these numbers out of this set that will make this true is the number 2. So my solution is the set 2. All right? To solve an equation, when I say the word solve an equation, it means to determine or define all the solutions, okay? So if I want to solve an equation, that's the job of algebra. To solve the equation means, okay, find all of the numbers that when substituted in will make this true. And that's the goal, or that's the activity of solving an equation. So to solve means to determine all of the solutions that will make that open sentence true, and that's one of the main goals that we're talking about in algebra. Now the collection of all the solutions is the solution set. So when we go and find all of the values that make it true, and again, a lot of times it'll be 1 in these earlier lessons, but there can be 2, there can be much more than that. But the set that contains all of the values that make it true is called the solution set. So in the expression x plus 3 equals 5, the only number that makes that algebraic expression on the left equal to that algebraic expression on the right is the number 2. So 2 is the only solution, or the only number in the solution set. Okay, so a lot of technical words there, but again, those would be the vocabulary that I'll be using, so you need to understand what those mean so you can follow along when we're doing or solving these equations. We talked about a goal in algebra is able to determine the solutions to a particular equation. Now, when the replacement set, the numbers that we're going to substitute in, is just a few numbers, one way that we can solve the equation is to evaluate or substitute in each one of those replacement set numbers into the expression and see which one, if any, make it true. Okay, and again, this is only really applicable when we have really small sets of replacement sets. All right, so for instance, if we had or asked to solve the equation 2x equals x plus 3, so what numbers would we substitute in x for x that would make the left side and the right side have the same value? And the replacement set, the only numbers that we're allowed to put in for x are the numbers 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, there's only 4 numbers there. So when there's just a small, option of numbers, we can go ahead and just do what we've done before, what we've learned before, evaluate this equation using the different values. And remember, evaluate means to just substitute the number in for the variable and then simplify. And we're going to see which values come up and end up giving us a true sentence. So when I substitute in 0 for x, remember we go through, we write the equation, or we write the statement putting in parentheses for each of the variables, and then we substitute in the variables. So when I substitute in 0 for x, I have 0 equals 3, which is false. When I substitute 1 in for x, I get 2 equals 4, which is false. When I substitute 2 in for x, I have 4 equals 5, which is false. But when I substitute in 3 for x's, I have 6 equals 6, which is true. So out of all of these possible replacement numbers, the only one that gives me a true statement is the number 3. So the value 3 is the only number in the solution set. So my answer, or the solution to this equation, is the value 3. Okay, so that's what a replacement set is, and that's how we're going to begin solving these equations. We're going to be given a small solution set, and we're going to solve this by substituting in those values into the expression and determining which one or two make the equation true, and that's going to be our solution set.